I woke up in the back of a Greyhound with $17, a dead phone, and no plan. The driver kicked me off at some forgotten exit in rural Montana, where the gas station didn't even have a name, just a rusted sign that said, "Fuel." I hadn't eaten in 2 days. My stepdad's voice still echoed in my head, telling me I'd be crawling back within a week. I'd rather starve than prove him right. The town was called Ashford Creek, population maybe 300. One main street, half the buildings boarded up. I asked the gas station clerk if there were any jobs around. He looked at me like I'd asked if the moon was made of cheese. Then his eyes shifted to the window, toward a diner across the road, the Crimson Plate, red neon sign flickering in the afternoon gloom. "They're always hiring," he muttered, then turned away like the conversation was over. I should have known something was wrong the second I pushed through those doors. The place was pristine. Not clean, pristine, like it had been frozen in time. Red leather booths, black and white checkered floor, a jukebox in the corner playing something slow and jazzy. But it was 4 in the afternoon, and every single booth was full. People eating in complete silence. Not a single conversation, just the sound of silverware on plates. A woman appeared beside me so suddenly, I flinched. She was tall, elegant, with sharp cheekbones and eyes that seemed too dark. Her name tag read, Vera. She smiled, but it didn't reach those eyes. "You're here about the position." It wasn't a question. I nodded, suddenly aware of how badly I smelled, how wrinkled my clothes were. She tilted her head, studying me. "Night shift, midnight to 6, $70 an hour. Cash, no questions asked." My brain stuttered. $70 an hour? That was insane. "What's the catch?" I asked. Her smile widened just slightly. "You follow the rules exactly as I explain them. You don't ask about the customers, and you never, ever leave your shift early. Can you do that?" I thought about my $17, about sleeping on the street, about my stepdad's smug face. "When do I start?" Vera told me to come back at 11:30. She'd train me before opening. I killed time at the gas station, charging my phone just enough to see the missed calls from my mom. 43 of them. I turned it back off. At 11:15, I walked back across that empty road. The diner's lights were off except for a dim glow from the kitchen. I knocked. Vera opened the door immediately, like she'd been standing there, waiting. She was wearing the same uniform, but somehow it looked different in the darkness. More formal, like a uniform from another era. The training was simple. Too simple. She showed me the register, how to take orders, where the coffee was. Standard diner stuff. Then she walked me to the kitchen door. "Marcus is our night cook. He doesn't talk much. Don't take it personally." The kitchen was spotless, industrial, and standing at the grill was a man who couldn't have been older than 25. He had dark circles under his eyes, and he was pale, really pale. When he saw me, he went completely still, just stared. Vera cleared her throat. "Marcus, this is our new server. Be nice." He nodded slowly, then went back to prepping vegetables. But I felt his eyes on my back the entire time. Vera led me to a small supply closet. Inside were stacks of menus. She handed me one. "Memorize the night menu. It's different from the day menu." I opened it. The first item made my stomach drop. Type O negative, served warm, 8 ounces. Below that, type A positive, chilled, with a lemon garnish. My hands started shaking. I looked up at Vera. She was watching me carefully. "I don't understand," I whispered. "Yes, you do," she said softly. "The question is whether you can handle it." I wanted to run. Every instinct screamed at me to run. But then I thought about that $420 I'd make in one night. Enough to get to the next city. Enough to start over. "What happens if I leave?" I asked. Vera's expression darkened. "The contract is binding. You agreed to work midnight to 6. If you break that agreement, the customers might take it personally. And trust me, you don't want that." At exactly midnight, the door chimed. The first customer walked in. He looked normal. Mid-40s, wearing a business suit, thinning hair. He sat at the counter and smiled at me. A perfectly normal smile, except his canines were just slightly too long. "Good evening," he said pleasantly. "I'll have a pint of B positive, room temperature, and the rare steak." My mouth was dry. I wrote it down with trembling hands. Vera materialized beside me, took the ticket, and walked to the kitchen. Through the order window, I watched Marcus pull out a blood bag from a mini fridge I hadn't noticed before. He poured it into a glass mug like it was beer. The steak went on the grill, barely touching the heat, before Marcus plated it, still cold in the center. I delivered it. The man thanked me, left a $20 tip. By 1 a.m., the diner was packed. They came in all types: young, old, well-dressed, casual. All of them ordered blood. Some wanted it warm, some cold, some mixed with wine. They were polite, disturbingly polite. Please and thank you and compliments to the chef. One woman even asked about my day. I lied and said it was fine. She smiled sympathetically. "First night is always the hardest, sweetheart. You're doing great." Then she went back to sipping her AB negative through a straw. Around 3 a.m., when I'd almost convinced myself I could survive this, a man walked in who made every other customer go quiet. He was tall, wearing an expensive black coat, with silver hair, despite looking maybe 35. His presence filled the room. Vera appeared instantly. "Mr. Ashford, your usual table." He didn't acknowledge her. His eyes locked on me, gray eyes that felt like they could see through skin. He walked to the corner booth and sat down. Vera leaned close to me. "Whatever he orders, you bring it immediately. No delays. Understand?" I nodded. My legs felt weak as I approached his table. "What can I get you?" My voice barely worked. He didn't look at the menu. "Are you new to town?" His voice was smooth, cultured. I nodded. "Passing through." A slight smile. "People don't pass through Ashford Creek. They either stay or they disappear." He leaned back. "Bring me a glass of your freshest stock. Marcus knows which one." I hurried to the kitchen. Marcus was already pouring something into a crystal glass. Not from a blood bag, from a small vial. The liquid was brighter, redder. He saw my expression. "Don't ask questions you don't want answered," he whispered. It was the first time he'd spoken to me. I brought the glass to Mr. Ashford. He lifted it to his nose, inhaled deeply, then took a slow sip. His eyes closed in satisfaction. Perfect. Still warm. My blood went cold. Warm meant fresh. Fresh meant recent. "Marcus is truly talented," Mr. Ashford continued, opening his eyes. "He knows exactly how to preserve that vital essence. Tell me, are you planning to make this a permanent position?" I shook my head quickly. "Just passing through." His smile faded. "Pity. Vera has such trouble keeping night staff. They always want to leave." He paused. "Or they try to." The rest of the shift was a blur of blood types and forced smiles. By 5:30, the customers had thinned out. Only a few lingered, finishing their drinks. Vera told me I could start cleaning. I was wiping down tables when I heard the door chime. A young guy stumbled in, maybe 19, drunk and laughing. "Yo, is this place still open?" Vera moved faster than I'd ever seen a person move. She was between him and the dining area instantly. "We're closed," Her voice was ice. "Come on, I just want some fries or something," he slurred. One of the remaining customers, a woman in a red dress, stood up. Her eyes had changed, no longer human, pure black with red centers. "He's intoxicated," she said hungrily. "That's not allowed inside." Vera's hand shot out, gripping the drunk guy's shoulder. "You need to leave. Now!" But he was too drunk to understand danger. He pushed past her. That's when 3 more customers stood up. The temperature in the room dropped. Vera's voice cut through like a whip. "He is not on the menu. He walked in during business hours. Protection rules apply." The woman in red hissed, hissed like a snake, but backed down. Vera physically dragged the guy out and slammed the door. Through the window, I watched her point down the road, speaking intensely. He nodded, suddenly sober, and ran. When Vera came back inside, her hands were shaking. "That was close," she muttered. Then she looked at me. "You did well tonight, better than most." She handed me an envelope. I counted it. $420. "Tomorrow night?" she asked. I looked at that money, at the door, at Marcus watching from the kitchen. "I need to think about it," I said. Vera nodded slowly. "You have until 11:30, but remember, our town is very small. If you're still here at midnight and you're not working, well, protection rules don't apply to non-employees after hours." I walked back to the gas station as the sun rose, used some of my cash to buy a bus ticket. The next bus out wasn't until Thursday, 2 days away. I had enough money now, I could leave. But that night, lying on the gas station floor, because I had nowhere else to go, I did the math. 2 more shifts would give me over $1,200, enough to get a real start somewhere. Enough to prove I could make it. At 11:25, I walked back across that road. Vera was waiting at the door. She didn't smile, just handed me an apron. "Welcome back," she said, and I knew, in that moment, I'd made a choice I couldn't undo. Marcus nodded to me from the kitchen. He looked almost relieved. "Second night is easier," he said quietly. "You already know what they are. Now you just have to decide if you're one of us." I wanted to ask what he meant, but the clock struck midnight. The door chimed, and the first customer walked in, smiling with those 2 long teeth, asking what the special was tonight. I tied my apron and picked up my notepad. "Good evening," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. "What can I get you?" Because in Ashford Creek, at the Crimson Plate, some jobs are more than just jobs. They're agreements, contracts, bindings, and I'd just signed mine in invisible ink. The only question left was how long before the ink turned red.